Hey everybody, it's been a while since I've done a video, so I'm gonna do a little bit of a multi-purpose video where I'm at with some things. You guys all know from some previous posts, that previous threads, I mean, that I've working on a wagon wheel and a windmill and a lighthouse. This is the results of the wagon wheel. I haven't poured anything yet or so, but this is basically ready to go. What I've done, some creative things. Well, actually, first I'll start from the outside in. Mother mold. Oops, let me just move something here. Could be a little bit of a jiggly thing because I'm trying to film this myself. So, mother mold, I put little legs onto it. I'm not sure if they're going to be supported enough. They're screwed through the fiberglass. I might have to take and put some little gussets in between to give them some supports, because when I start moving this and shaking it around, it might give me some problems. But that's the way that is. The rubber where the in between the wagon wheel, the spokes will be, right now is it's just hollow rubber. It's fairly stiff. There's 15 layers of FMB, so it's fairly thick. It's probably at least averaging an eighth of an inch to 3/16 of an inch in thickness. So it's a pretty good thick rubber. So like, I don't know if the camera will give you a bit of a justification of how thick that is. But you know, judge if I use my fingernail and the thickness there, you can see. And what I've done is I've got some foam, and this is like furniture foam. It's squishy or so, but it's pretty dense. It's pretty takes quite a bit to squish. It's like a cleaning sponge kind of thing. And what I've done is, because if I had all these things done in Proto Putty, it would first of all cost a small fortune to do that. So what I've done, trying to do this one hand, is these foam blocks will go into these areas all the way around. They're all lettered to match, and then they sit down, and there's a sort of a groove. This is sort of raised a little bit. It'll sit down, so this, once it sits, it doesn't move. It locks in place, and it gives it enough rigidity. There's no depth here. There's only 2 inches or 3 inches of depth of cement, so I'm hoping it's not going to push in too much, and it should pull out and maybe give it a little bit of a rounding. And the rounding would actually be a good thing, because let's face it, the wood on the spokes are usually round. These are gonna give a nice look, and the trim and everything. I'll move on over to the lighthouse. I still gotta figure out my plug for it, because obviously if I poured this thing, it would be a ton. I believe I'll get the measuring tape here, and I'll cheat this a little bit with the camera. But we're looking at 33 inches tall, so that's a big pour. And the top of it's probably about maybe not 14 inches, probably about 12 or 13 inches across at the top, and the center is just hollow. So I'm going to come up with some sort of cone shaped plug that'll fill that in, hopefully keep the walls down to 1 inch or 2 in thickness. It's inside, and it's got Proto Putty at each of the sections here. If you go back on the thread for the lighthouse, you'll see the Proto Putty things, the pictures or so that I've done for that. The legs, the way I've done this, let me get an angle that works here. Not easy to do this moving around with the camera. I'm learning as I go. I've cut these on a bevel, put a screw through the fiberglass and into the core of this, a 3-inch screw, and then I've added a little bit of fiberglass and some resin around to lock it all in place. When I first do these, I put them in with a glue gun. So there's actually a blob of glue, hot melt glue, up on the top here, and what that does, it holds it in place and it fills in the void. The worse of the void, or so the more solid a connection you have, the more, when this vibrates on the table, the more it'll transfer that energy into the mold. So I'm hoping that is enough for the top and the bottom. The bottom, again, screw through the side here, screw coming in from the inside out. The dimple that it makes on the inside, I've used a countersinking bit to drill into the fiberglass a little bit, but it's still a little bit of a dimple. Not going to show. That dimple is going to get embedded into the rubber, and it's in 4 sections. It's I guess about 3.5 layers or 4 layers of fiberglass because of its thickness. I'm not going to flip that over with one hand. I know I'm getting a lot of close-ups of that. Moving on to the other area here, I've got this here out of the way. I'm gonna get an F on my videography in this project. But anyways, that's the my rainbow that I've done. And this is my conch shell, and this is my big snail. So the snail is probably about 10 or 12 inches long or so in total. The rubber on all of these again are pretty thick. They're about 1/8 of an inch or a little bit more. These were all done with my mass overnight adventure. The rainbow ribbon thing too. There's a seam in between here. The fiberglass is very tight, so you can see if I really force it with my fingers, you can see the seam. So it should come out a very tight seam. Maybe not even show at all on that one. I'm actually pretty impressed with the way that turned out. Turned out better than I expected, because I was kind of sloppy on the way I did that one. It turned out actually pretty good. Sometimes you just get lucky. I'll move this out of the way and I'll show you. One of the things I wanted to do is I wanted for the windmill. Actually, I'll come over to the side. There's the windmill structure itself there. I'll talk about that in a second. I wanted a plug for it, so I made a wooden plug, painted it up, made it nice and smooth. I did a rubber thing of it, and what I ended up with is this sort of rectangular pyramid, upside down pyramid at this point. And it's got the rubber inside of it. It's just this clean sided smooth rubber. So my point of doing this, because in order to use this as a plug, I would just wrap that in saran wrap and wax paper and use it inside of the thing to be able to remove it. So I don't need this at all to do the plug for the windmill. But what I'm gonna do is I use this form, because this is a nice base for a bird bath or something more modern, or something that you want different heights. So whenever I have leftover cement, I can pour it in this. So if I half fill it, I got a half height pedestal. And if I have a lot of cement left over, I can fill it all the way. And if I have just a little tiny bit and I only fill 2 inches in it, I have a 2-inch pedestal just to keep a small ornament off the ground. So it's a little basis. So whatever amount of waste I might have, I can use it in here. So then I don't even have to really calculate my cement. I can always make sure I have an abundance and I never have a problem. Don't usually run into a problem with that, but it's sort of I needed more bases, so this killed multiple birds with one stone. Move the conch shell over here and green ball. These weigh probably 10 or 15 pounds on their own. The windmill itself, the shell itself is about probably 28 inches tall. It's about probably 12 inches at the top, or at this top as it is now, not as it is in the ground. And obviously bolts all the way around or so, and it's got its thick rubber and its detail. I gotta say, pulling the rubber off the model on this one, pulling the gravel structure with all this kind of texture, that was a challenge and a half with my hands and my muscles and hurting. It was quite the endeavor to get that off. So my plan for this is that I'm gonna build a structure to hold this in place in the windmill, so it doesn't go off center or anything like that when I'm pouring it, and so it doesn't float out also. And then I'll fill the windmill up or so, and hopefully with 1 inch or 2 in diameter, and it should be full from about here down. It should be solid from maybe the top 4 inches of the windmill. The reason for that is that when I come back over here to the windmill blades, this will be, I'll have to put some steel reinforcing to make sure that these don't break or so, because they're only about 1 inch thick and about 2 inches wide, so they're not overly thick, maybe a little bit more than 1 inch at the thickest point, maybe 1.25 inches. But I'll do this, and I'll put a hole in the middle of it when I pour it. I'll put just a piece of pipe or so it stays with the hollowing. And then what I will do after this cures, I decided it was better to do it afterwards. After this part is cured and it's out of its shell, I'll drill with a diamond bit. I'll drill a hole into it, maybe 2 inches in, and I'll epoxy a bolt so the bolt sticks out. And when it sticks out from there like that, I can put the windmill blades over that bolt, and I put an acorn nut, a nylon locking acorn nut onto it, and that'll keep the blades onto it. Like I joked with people as I'm making this thing, it's like, this is the kind of windmill that if the blades ever turn in the wind, run for cover, because something big's coming your way, because concrete blades shouldn't turn in the wind too easily. Anyways, that's basically where I'm at right now. It's been a bit of a slow spring. It's cool. It's sort of on and off of temperatures where it's been nice to work outside, and other days like today where it's raining and cool. So I haven't been doing a whole lot. I'm hoping by next week to pour some of my small things and trying to figure out what's next and figuring out space for things. But anyways, that's a little bit of an update on where I'm at with everything. Bye for now.